Hey everyone, today I'm going to be going over some drawing techniques that you can use on any of your art projects that you're creating. And the purpose for really learning drawing techniques and getting a lot better at them over time is it can really enhance your project. So for example, instead of just filling in a place with a solid color or filling in a space all gray with my pencil, I can use a drawing technique to make that space look a little bit more interesting and a little bit more detailed, a little bit more complex. So that's how we can become better artists, is to continue to practice these drawing techniques and start to incorporate them more into our work. So here we go. All right, so for our drawing techniques, you can use any material. I could do all of these things with a regular pencil or a pen. Today I'm going to use colored pencils just to show how these things can be done with color mixing as well. So I'm going to start over here with hatching. Hatching is creating marks that are going in one direction. So my hatch marks could be marks that are really close together. They could also be hatch marks that are evenly spaced apart, or maybe even further apart, depending on the look that I want my drawing to have. I can also mix colors while hatching. So if I have different colored marks that are following that same hatch mark direction, it all depends on what I'm trying to draw and how I use those hatch marks. So then cross hatching, like you probably guessed, is doing that same technique at first. I'm going to start with some lines that are really close together for one example, and then to make it cross hatching, I'm going to go the other direction to get something like that. So if my lines are a little bit more spaced out with cross hatching, going the other direction. Now this could be something like a fence, or maybe if it's closer together, it creates some fabric on your drawing. So you want to think about what technique you're using and why. With cross hatching, I can also mix colors if I'm using a colored material to get a different look as well. All right, next is stippling. So stippling, I'm going to be taking a color to start with. So maybe I want to create some stipple marks with this yellow first. So I'm going to make a lot of dots really close together first. Then I could also make maybe some that are really far apart. The closer my dots are together, the darker the area is going to look. Now if I wanted to color mix, I could take maybe another yellow. So you want to think about what color you're using and how this could create a texture for your drawing. So for example, this could create a texture with colors for sand. If I used black and gray, I could create a street texture. So they can be used to create looks on your drawing. Next up is value, which takes a lot of practice to get really good at. But with value, I want to create a color or a grayscale that is dark to light. So if I'm starting with my colored pencil, I'm pressing hard at first, and then it's going to get lighter as I move away. Then I'm going to go back to the beginning and start layering my colored pencil. It's not just enough to do this one time across, but to really get things to blend together smooth, you want to layer your pencil. I do not want to be able to see, at least for this example, where one value starts and stops. They blend really smooth. So I can do that really fast because I've practiced a lot. But if you haven't done that, you might need to practice more. Another technique to help this blend even further is to take a white color pencil over the top. So I don't have white right now. I'm just going to use this peach color. It's pretty close. And if I take that over the top, and I'm just doing half of this to kind of show an example, this is called burnishing, taking a white color pencil over the top, and it helps your colors kind of smooth together a little bit more, make them more bold. Now we're going to talk about blending, and what we're going to do is we're going to take this idea of blending with value. So there's a lot of different ways to blend, but I'm going to show you how to blend with value. So if I want to take two colors and blend them together, so I'm going to use the same color that I started with here and add in a darker red. So if I start with my first color and I go from dark to light, then I'm going to start at the other end with my second color and go dark to light. All the way across. And then I might need to take my colors and go back to like the original color and keep blending them across, back and forth. But once I have a few layers built up, I can start to press a little bit harder with my color pencil. All right, now we have color mixing. So for color mixing, what I want to practice with this technique is layering two colors on top of each other. There are other ways to color mix as well, but I'm gonna take, let's see, maybe this teal color and this really dark blue and mix them together. So what I wanna start with is a layer of one of the colors that's a little bit lighter. I'm gonna take my second color and layer it lightly over the top. Then as I keep layering, now I can start to press a little bit harder with my color pencil with each layer so that they really truly mix together. And what's cool about this technique is that I'm really creating my own color. So I'm not just sticking to the colors that are in the color pencil container or in a crayon box or any other drawing set that you have, but I'm making a brand new color of my own by mixing them. If I don't follow those directions and I just press really hard, if I'm using dark colors, it's really hard to see your light color get blended in. Okay, so to avoid that, we can layer them slowly to really truly mix them together. Now, one last thing I want to show is sunset blending. This does not have to be used for a sunset, but it can be, all depending on the colors that I choose. So I'm going to use a red, let's see, like an orangish, a yellow, and I could do even more colors if I wanted to. But what I'm going to do here is use my value, dark to light. I'm going to start dark at the top, and I'm going to imagine if I'm using this for a sunset, that it would get more yellow towards the bottom where the sun is actually setting behind the ground. So then if I take my orangish color, dark to light, and then my yellow, dark to light, it's gonna give you that sunset effect. Kind of reminds me of the Lion King. So if I wanted to add a white here that could brighten it, I could add more colors to this. I always think the more colors you're using, the more interesting your drawing might turn out to be. But I wanna think about if I did this same technique where it went from a dark blue and then got lighter blue, maybe that could look like water. So this is not just for sunsets, but a technique that we could use to blend colors in a more interesting way. So I hope that you can experiment with these techniques at home and try out different techniques with different tools and get better at these drawing techniques. I hope you enjoyed it.